Okay. And there goes the record. And here goes, whoop, where'd it go? The encoder. There it is. All right, we're good.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is the IT and the D show. We are broadcasting live from our homes and from the bar. This is Bob the Sales Guy. That's Dave the Geek. Randy, I do the Twitters, is doing the Twitters. Guests this week include, we got the Mikey from the old Shillelagh downtown. We got August in the house, old friend from Whiskey in the Jar and Hamtramck. We're going to be talking about life behind the bar now that things are slowly opening up. And then also we got a ton of stories going on. We got his big boy's gone forever. We're running out of pennies. And Dave, you may fire when ready.
Wait. I don't think we can get started until I get some shredded cheese for my fajitas.
Oh, good Lord. All right, go ahead, Bob.
Hey, welcome. What is going on? This is the IT and the D show. Can we still call it the IT and the D show, or do we got to rename it at some point? Can I still be Bob?
Dude, I've been lobbying for 2.5 Geeks for 4 years now.
Can you still be Dave? I don't know. We'll figure that out later. This is episode 354. We are broadcasting live from either our quarantine homes or the bars in one of them in Hamtramck. This is Bob the Sales Guy. That is Dave the Geek. Randy, I do the Twitters, is doing the Twitters. You can find us online at itandthed.com. Give us a like on the socials and subscribe to us everywhere. Fine podcasts are sold.
And again, we've talked about this before. We are we're leaving events out until August, no pun intended. And we'll be bringing them back then. We'll do something outside. And yeah, so that's the update there.
So yeah, hey, just like we just introduced earlier, we have two illustrious guests, friends of ours for a very, very long time, both of them bartenders. We kind of wanted to discuss what life was like behind the bar. We a few of us have been to the bar, but joining us is Mikey from the old Shillelagh downtown Detroit. Sir, how have you been? Haven't seen you in a while.
I've been well, man. Just getting used to this non-quarantine stuff and living the life and working, dealing with all of the wonderful public every week.
And then this is actually a first for the show. We've been doing this for 7 years. We haven't had anyone ever call in live from the bar. August Gitschlag's in the house.
We've done live broadcasts from bars,
right? But never. We got August in the house. He is actually tending bar right now at Whiskey in the Jar down in Hamtramck. Sir, how you doing? You're on mute, bud. August.
I'm actually not working tonight, but I figured it'd be fun to come here and show you just exactly what we're looking at these days at a bar in Hamtramck. Miss Katie's pretty much by herself with a few people outside, a couple regulars, and that's about the state of the world down here.
Yeah, so Og, I'll start things off with you, like life behind the bar. Like, so I started trickling into a few bars. I live out in I live out in Rochester Hills, Auburn Hills. Right. The bars out here are pretty much business as usual. A couple of them took out a couple tables. Most of them, like the open air ones in Rochester Hills, are still the same. Dave was telling stories about going to down in Cass Corridor. They have it set up like a 7-mile gas station with plastic barricades and little windows. So some people are taking it to huge extremes. Some people aren't. I guess, what's your take on, the new normal of behind the bar?
Well, it really depends on where you are. Like, I went up to a bar in Macomb County last week, and I walked in and walked right the hell out. Any place where you can buy beer by the bucket seems to not be following any protocols. There was no hand sanitizer around. The same amount of bar stools, same amount of tables, same amount of everything. You come down here, everyone's pretty much following the rules. I walked into a place downtown, half the bar stools, half the tables. It's all about your local enforcement. And I understand that different areas of the city feel different political views about what's going on, but behind the bar, it's very bartender driven. We take the bar stools away, and then by, 1:30 in the morning, there's a few of them have found their way back up to the bar, and you just kind of deal with your friends and try to keep them, to wear their masks when they're ordering. So Katie Palonis here, who's working, does not tolerate that. She's only tolerating it because it's me.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was this reminds me a lot of when smoking got banned originally.
Yeah, me too.
There was a hard line. There was not any, I'll just light up, no one will mind. No, it was there was no middle. It was off, right? You're going to go outside and you're going to smoke. With this, it seems like there's this weird. Yeah, it depends on the bartender.
I was like, well, yeah. I mean, well, and let's be real with the smoking thing. It really kind of depended on where you were. You know, a lot of the bars on the east side, you know, put the tip jar out and just said, hey, throw some cash in. So if they come in and fine us, we got it covered.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I kind of remember those days.
There's still a bar down here that does that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it still exists.
So I guess, Mikey, bringing you in, Old Shillelagh, it's one of the, you know, I would say top 10 oldest bars in Detroit, at least from my standpoint. It's one of the mainstays. I guess, what's life like behind the bar by you? Is obviously things are different, but are people?
Well, and keep in mind, Shillelagh closed literally right before St. Patrick's Day, which that kind of like bankrolls your year.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day and opening day.
Yeah,
that's a huge chunk for us. Bartenders are basically turned into cocktail servers right now. We're taking care of all of the tables and stuff. It wasn't until this weekend we allowed people to come to the bar, but there's like we set up 4 tables. Going long way, so not out to the bar, just like connected to the bar. So people still can't pass those tables to order. They have to stand at one of those tables, and you can congregate 4 or 5 people tops there, and you have to stay at that table. And or when you're at any other table, you have to be at those tables. We actually have really good friends in the Park Right guys, the guys that own the parking lot behind us. We've been dealing with the Aubreys for years, like ever since, you know, my dad was working downtown and stuff. And so they are being very nice and generous and letting us finagle and see what works for us as far as extending our outside patio into the parking lot to therefore put more tables and get better business in. But it's the same thing, man. People are going to do what people are going to do. And the fact that people have to be told 4 or 5 times to put their mask on when they're walking around, people have to be told that, look, I get it, there's a DJ here, but the DJ's here so it can provide different sounds. So we're not just listening to Pandora, a full song. There could be a good vibe going on, but there's still no dance
So we're not
floor.
listening to Bob and Dave take over the jukebox. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But there's still no dance floor. Right.
Anything's worse than both of us combined.
True.
It's true.
This you guys look, man, I'm pretty sure the T and IT stands for touch tunes, okay?
That's what it is. It's AMIT in the D. That's it's
right.
The AMIT.
AMIT.
Mikey, you just rewrote. Mikey, you just rewrote our alma mater. Kudos to you, sir.
That's what I do. But yeah, so people are like fucking, you know, doing the dance floor thing. And it's like the DJ literally stopped and said, hey, move. There's like 8 feet here. And for some reason, 10 of you want to crowd into it to start dancing when we don't have a dance floor. He has stopped it. He has put on Miley Cyrus because that no one dances to Miley Cyrus, right?
Randy does.
Well,
No,
Randy doesn't even dance to Miley Cyrus. Randy's like, okay, wrecking ball, got it, gotta go.
Party in the USA is not terrible.
Well, welcome to episode 354. Beat on Randy. That's going to be the title of it.
That's nothing bad for him.
I didn't say off. I said on.
I was thinking it. You said it.
But yeah, so people were still coming up to the bar. We had to say, get back 6 feet. We're not going to serve you. We're apparently the problem because we're enforcing rules. You know, we have to be like, well, we're not the governor. We didn't set these rules up. We just have to follow them. You know, I commend what the Shillelagh has done. You know, even the health department's come in and said, didn't have to tell us to move anything. They just were like, just put a couple more signs up. You know what I'm saying? So add a little bit more 6 feet, add a little bit more this. But it doesn't matter what we do because the customers are just doing whatever the fuck they want to do. And it's impacting us, which is a problem. Like, not the business, but like the staff. Like, stay away from me, right? Like, I've had COVID-19, but nobody knows specifically what happens anymore, right? I could still get it again. There's reports now saying that the immunities, the antibodies
don't last very long.
Right? Yeah, last a couple months. Well, guess what? I had it St. Patrick's Day. That's 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
These antibodies aren't protecting. I'm not guaranteeing they're protecting me from anything. I just help people out, man. But they don't care, and because they don't care, you've seen things like in the Temple Bar in Detroit, which I mean they shouldn't have been doing that anyway. Mexican Fiesta out in Dearborn just went back down to only carry out orders because they're like, you guys are acting like assholes to our staff.
Yep.
And while the cleanliness of everything is a priority, now the safety of our staff has to be a top priority. So we're going to have to say, get away. And Mexican Fiesta is amazing.
August, I wanted to bring in on that too. Like, that's the one thing I keep hearing is people being buttholes. And it's like, yeah, I get it. You've been cropped up. Yeah, I get it. You're excited about being out. But it's like, you should be so excited about coming out. Like, okay, what do you need me to do to be out? Cool, I got it. I'm done. Like, when I've gone out, I've made sure I follow follow whatever the guidelines are of the place you're going to. It's not that hard.
My girlfriend, Michelle, still is not comfortable eating indoors or being indoors at a bar at all. We had reservations for 8 o'clock on Friday night at the Monarch to sit outside, and she canceled them because it was supposed to rain and she wasn't going to eat inside. I get it. Everyone has their different comfort levels. Mm-hmm. But then look at what happened in East Lansing. One clown shows up at Harper's, 62 people get sick, and now 30 people in Grosse Pointe, all tied to the same spot.
Last I heard the number was 85 people.
Yeah, because they all went back to a bonfire afterwards and hung out. And yep.
And now it just hit the news that Fifth Avenue and Royal Oak had 3 people that tested positive. We're in there, on the 19th of June.
Wouldn't be surprised.
So in any,
I walk by that place.
So and here's my question, and this is actually one of the stories that I shot across for us to yak about, but having you guys here. So Imperial in Ferndale said they shut down because they got an anonymous phone call from someone that said they were in the restaurant a couple days earlier and they were COVID positive. So is that the new 1-star Yelp review / swatting? Where even if that's not true, you call a place and say that, and you're basically shutting them down. You are shutting them down and forcing them to go through a deep clean and being a major inconvenient pain in the ass.
That joke has already run through all the sports talk radio about how these different teams are going to suddenly try to open up and play sports again. And the anonymous calls that so-and-so really tested positive and they're faking it is going to shut down basketball or baseball or football.
Oh, nice.
Shut down a bar. It is.
So as bartenders, are you both kicking out people who aren't complying with rules, or?
I have not had a problem where someone completely refused or didn't have a mask with them. There's always someone will walk in off the patio without it back on, and we'll be like, dude, oh, okay. And they'll throw it back on. And I've not had that confrontation that I am dreading because I know it's coming.
Yeah, because I'm not going to lie. The bar that I went to that's by my house and it's the middle of, suburbia, not one person had one on. Not one.
Yeah, that's what I noticed in Macomb County. The servers and the staff had them.
Yeah.
The customers gave nothing.
We're the same way. We have boxes of masks. So if you don't have a mask when you come to the bar to come in, we'll provide you with masks. I mean, if it's a group of 10 people, we're eventually just be like, no, because obviously you haven't had a mask this entire time. We're not, if 1 or 2 people or a dude's mask broke while he was walking through the entrance and we gave him another mask. But it's not so much that people are refusing to comply. It's again, it's like you're telling a 5-year-old 4 or 5 times to do the exact same thing, and that's the problem is I'm not telling a 4 or 5-year-old to do the same thing 4 or 5 times. I'm telling a 35-year-old the same thing to do 4 or 5 times. And eventually you got to realize that it's not just about you, and this business could take a hit. The staff could take a hit. I mean, and look, the first weekend I was back, people were assholes, and I'm talking about money-wise, which was crazy to me. But the second and third week that I was back, people were amazing, right?
They should be loaded. They should have been loaded when they came back.
Man, you would think so, right? But again, let's not pretend like everyone's gotten their unemployment check. So, it's a weird dynamic. I'm the same way. August's girlfriend, same way. I don't feel comfortable going out that much. I've gone eaten in downtown Royal Oak, and I sat on a patio. I've walked around a couple places. and that's about it, man. Like I went out the first night the bars were, the Shillelagh was open, and I really only went out to look and see what I was walking into.
You were going on a scouting run.
Yeah. And then then a friend was like, "Hey, I'm down at Pappy's. We're sitting on the patio. Come on out." And I was like, "Well, if you're on the patio, for sure." And that's what it is. There's a comfort level to everyone. And just because your source of information tells you that whatever you're doing is not necessary, that's fine. And I'm not saying that you're wrong for that. What I'm saying is you're wrong for telling someone or making someone else feel like their source of information is wrong, so they have to follow your way. And what's the worst that can happen when you wear a mask? You find out you were right anyway, but you wore a mask and made someone else feel comfortable. What's the best that can happen? You find out you're wrong and you help protect people?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
You were mildly inconvenienced for a few.
Right. Man, and I've said it from the beginning to the end of this thing when it was announced that stores, private businesses have a no shirt, no shoes, no service sign
no dice
on all of them. Now they're saying no mask, no service. That's not taking away your rights, man. That business has all the right in the world to tell you can't be a patron there if you don't wear a mask. Get over it.
So many people don't realize that these are private businesses. They are not mandated to serve you under any circumstances. Like, right. I don't know how that slipped by a lot of people. I guess I'll open up the floor to both of you guys, but I got a curious thing. Like, let's say this whole thing poops the bed and it shuts down again. How many of these bars can survive this thing? Because I know a lot of them are on shoestrings right now. A lot of them are hanging on by the thank God their landlords aren't being dicks type of scenarios. But I mean, if this thing shuts down again for like 3 months, how many of these restaurants and bars are actually going to be able to come back and weather this thing?
But there's plenty of bars. Like, I'm going to jump real quick. There's plenty of bars in Hamtramck that haven't opened yet. And they just said, we're not going to deal with this. So as you can hear, a couple of the customers came in from the patio, so they're ordering right now behind me. But like Susie's Bar, Trixie's Bar, Polish League, they don't have any staff that'll work. And they've just taken out their loans and they're riding it out. And I expect to see. I think we're going to shut down again. In my opinion, I think we're going to take one more hit for like 2 weeks somewhere soon.
Yes,
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I honestly think that our governor, without playing politics, I think our governor has done well. Perfect? Hell no. Has she done things to play politics and maybe get a VP nod? Sure. But that's her job. My job as a bartender is to work you to get the best tip out of you, right? Anyone who does their job correctly knows ways to make it so they can make better money for anything else. That's what you have to do in your job. I know what I have to do. I have to tell Karen she's a great person, right? Because I know Karen will finally give me 15% finally, right? But Karen's a piece of crap, but I have to make her feel like she's amazing. So the bottom line is, I feel that the governor has done well, not perfect, well. And the problem
there was no way, Mikey. There's no way you were going to ever make everyone happy.
Exactly.
It didn't matter which way you went with this.
This is the unknown, right? I am not. Yeah. I can't be mad at you for taking extremes when you didn't know what was coming. So my thought process on this is just like August. I think it's going to shut down for 2 weeks, but I'm hoping she does slap on the wrist style. We're going to pull back bars, any place that's just mainly alcohol. We're going to shut them down for 2 weeks. We'll keep restaurants at 50% capacity. We'll see what it looks like. Because I feel if she goes hard, if she tries to do extreme again, then she might start losing some of her base supporters. So I think she's going to take the ease way.
So you got to look at the season we're in. It's summertime. This was a little bit easier to pull off when it was still cold out. In February, March, I mean, that was doable. If she was to have to try to start to shut it down now in a place like Michigan, like Texas, people are hiding inside anyways. It's 110 degrees. Same with Arizona. Yep. But this is our outside season. Florida, this is our outside season. It's going to be really tough, especially if she does it statewide and not by zones again. Because a whole bunch of people are going to be flooding Saugatuck and flooding Traverse City and flooding Mackinac City and Marquette to drink. If she does it, I mean, there's no easy right way to do it.
Right.
It has to be, state to state, region to region.
They're flooding up north. They flood up north as it is. I mean,
I'm not even sure about regions.
I live right on 75. Try to come Sunday, 6 o'clock. Go look at 75 coming back home. It's
Yeah, but that's
you can't.
people who live there. They have their houses. They're not the renters and the hotel people. Because I know folks that they can get a room in Saugatuck with 24 hours notice right now, and that's insane for July and June.
I mean, yeah, we looked at Vegas pricing. They're pretty much giving rooms away for $1. Just get your ass down here.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what's the good of going to Saugatuck if you're not on the beach and the bar isn't open?
Yeah, no doubt.
You know?
Exactly.
Well, and that's, I was talking with Fred earlier today, Fred Brown. He shot me like his latest PowerPoint deck and all that stuff. And he kind of lines up with what you were just saying, that, I mean, the reality is, like, this Harper story is pretty much the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see a lot of bad news hit over the next 2 weeks.
Now let me ask a question. I don't know if you know, Dave, or if the guys know, like, how do they know that? Because it takes 2 weeks to get tested, right? Or to test positive for it. How do they know that that all emanated from a single bar? Like, to me, I read that and I'm like, wait a minute, how did that?
There's a huge set of protocols and questions you have to answer for people who test positive. They trace you and everywhere you've been and everything you've been doing. It's a thing.
Yeah, so it was basically one guy who already was sick and wasn't feeling well, and the day after all this nonsense went and got himself checked out, and they went, oh, yep, COVID, where were you? And then contact traced back, started taking a look at those people. Yep. And and it's funny, the one like really kind of concerning stat that Fred threw out when we were chatting earlier was they just did some like anonymous statistics, and 75% of people that went to a hospital or an ER or an urgent care for non-COVID things, like they went because they fell and broke their arm or they had a gunshot wound and went to the ER, that kind of stuff. 75% of the people that were checked in tested positive for COVID. And
that's
so, like,
nuts.
so that's that hidden asymptomatic population. Yet again, the reason why you should be wearing your damn mask, even if you think you feel fine.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Just put your mask on, man. It's whether everything is right or not. Sorry, just again, the same thing I was gonna say earlier. Like whatever, what you believe or not, give a shit about other people. That's all it is. Who cares? Just be nice.
Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones that got to go through the Secretary of State, and that was I know there's like someone outside. They don't really ask you if you have symptoms. They just ask you what your name is. Like, I was kind of shocked that they would not have like the temperature gun, because that is not very hard to do.
No.
They just really go, what's your name? Cool. You had a mask on, they let you in, and then you left. It was like, it was kind of bizarre, actually, that they didn't have more precautions in place.
Well, so I mean, the problem with the temperature gun, and this is because I mean, I think I talked about this on one of the shows either last week or the week before, is they're not very accurate. It's almost kind of like the facial recognition system software, where if you're white, you tend it tends to be pretty accurate. But any people of color, it tends to be a lot further off.
Yeah, I never heard that before. That's crazy. That's nuts.
Well, I mean, it's just a thing. And so it's, it can be, and the thing, you may be asymptomatic and not have a fever. You might have a fever because you have a cold. You might have a fever, for a number of reasons not related to COVID. So, I mean, it's, but it's a PR move more than anything else to at least take that step.
All I know is there's somebody at Amazon right now wondering why there's a run on do not enter pool if you have diarrhea signs, because we put one at our community pool and it's caused an absolute uproar, and no one realizes that, like, every water park in America has a don't enter the water park if you have diarrhea sign. So you should put them up at the bar.
I do the questionnaire at City Hall every day, and I always check off that I have diarrhea just for fun.
As you should. As you should. There's
and those the thermometers you shoot, they still do work if you put them in your butt.
Good to know.
You know what the difference is, right? You know what the difference is, August? The taste.
Just
nice.
Throwing
it out there.
The taste. That's the difference.
Well, no, and it was like the ones I picked up for the studios, they actually have different settings. Like you can tell it you're taking a skin temp, a zone temp, a room temp, so so I mean, they're decent, but I mean, the more I looked into them, like I said, I mean, they're only so accurate and only for so many different scenarios. So
have you guys noticed an uptick? I don't know if you guys monitor your Yelp pages or whatever. Have you noticed any people leaving like shit reviews because they made us wear a mask? Stupid bar. Like, what have you guys noticed an uptick in those?
I haven't even looked.
I mean, I've seen them. I've seen people calling them out on Facebook. Like a lot of Facebook, like people are calling out people that are leaving those reviews. That's what I've seen is, screw you for leaving them a negative review because they said you had to wear a mask and that kind of stuff.
See, here's the thing. Like, I'm as, like, I don't want to say non-compliant, but I'm about as like leave me alone type of person as there is government wise. But when I if you go to the grocery store, I couldn't imagine if someone told me in their business, like, put a mask on, and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, that would be my first inclination, not be like, screw you, I hate you. Like, which is, I'm seeing these videos and it's just blowing my mind how people can think like that.
Human.
What's that, August?
You're just a decent human being, believe it or not. That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, but like, I couldn't imagine like yelling at anyone, like if it's their house, like, which is I consider any business is their house. You got house rules. Take my shoes off at the door. Yes, Mr.
Sure, okay, I'll take my shoes off at the door. Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. Like, oh, okay.
Screw your house. I'm going to have barbecue down the street.
Right.
FYC. Like,
I'll go have diarrhea in somebody else's pool.
just don't have it at Whiskey in the Jar, man. I had to grumpy there once. It was the worst day of my life.
They're really, really clean and sterile now, though.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
worse than that time at that bar in Monroe.
The best thing you're ever going to do in Hamtramck is whiskey right now.
So what is, I guess...
It can't be any worse than that dive bar in Monroe, Bob. It can't. It can't.
Oh, God. What's the... Now, what's the percentage, like... I know you guys always kept a clean bar, both of you. But, like, what's the percentage now that you have to clean versus is it double, triple what you had to do in the past?
As far as wiping things down, it's a lot more. As far as picking up garbage, significantly less.
Because less crowd or?
Well, yeah, most people aren't throwing their stuff around. Yeah, and it's the exact same way.
Just being cognizant of their surroundings type of things.
Right. Instead of wiping down the shelving under the beer bottle, under the liquor bottles and everything a couple times a week, now you're doing it every shift. But granted, the way they're working for us is we're only open Friday and Saturday, and they have a staff for Friday and a staff for Saturday. So even though that we're dealing with all of this, we can still get the underemployment because we're not working the hours, we're making the money that we did. So we can still claim the underemployment to get that extra $600 a week. That's how they're working it out for us, which I think is amazing.
That's great for you guys. Now,
that's a good deal.
What about draft beer? Are you guys just doing plastic cups, or people shying away from it?
Yep. Plastic cups, that's all we offer.
Yep, all plastic.
Shot glasses, plastic.
Yep. We're basically every day is St. Patrick's Day for us.
Yeah.
Everything plastic all the time.
Right.
Every day is Magnum PI party day here.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, like, I guess how is the general tone of the businesses now without the big parties, without the big events, without that kind of stuff going on? Like, is it, hey, we're gonna just see how this goes and roll with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, there's nothing else to do. We know we didn't have our big fundraiser in March. We don't see an August date for the Magnum PI party as viable. We just don't see one that's going to work.
Yeah, and you guys missed Punchki Day. You guys missed.
No,
that was
no. Punchki Day was the last big event that that was the last.
Yeah, partying with your wife, Bob. So
rub it in.
Yeah, that was really like the only big thing of 2020 that actually went well.
The last big hurrah was Hamtramck Punchki Day.
Yeah, because you figure, because I remember there's like Tigers opening day. I remember Tigers opening day paying off people's bars that bought places downtown, like back in the day. Yeah. Like talking about that, yeah. And like I remember Shillelagh, I think Mike, you were telling me, that one day is kind of the year.
Yeah, St. Pat's and opening day, man. They take care of us. I'm wondering what if it actually happens in less than a month, what it's going to be like, because obviously they can't have fans, but that's not going to stop people from coming down to tailgating like they do. But again, if everything's still in the restrictive state, you know what I'm saying? It changes a lot of things.
So other than the obvious, wear a mask when you come in, tip well, don't group dance. What any other recommendations, things that no one's thought about, tips, tricks?
We keep hand sanitizer all over the place, but we do appreciate when people have their own. it's a visual for kind of everybody to feel a little bit better. I carry some with me everywhere I'm going. I get it. Other than that, I mean, people have been over tipping on my shifts. I've been fortunate. Thank you, Dave. I try to make sure I have all my own stuff, specifically so my girlfriend will let me come back over, because she wants to make sure that I'm being responsible, and I do too. And I want to support the bars right here in my neighborhood that are 3 blocks from my house that only have 6 people in them, which is easy to feel safe in and easy to control your surroundings. But that's not what everybody else is doing. You never know. So take care of yourself and just assume the bar isn't, even though we are.
Well, that's the thing, like with my neighborhood bar, yeah, it was all neighbors, but I don't know what they've been doing all spring. I haven't been at their place, you know what I mean? Because, like, yeah, it was like a reunion. Hey, you know, and then the hardest part was I had to go to, you know, a funeral this weekend where everybody's hugging everyone. And it was, you know, kind of threw all the rules out, and we're kind of holding our breath now going, oh, you know, hopefully we're all right. I'm sure we all will be, I hope, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're the same way, man. Just, you know, wear your mask when you come in. If you have your own stuff, that's fine. That's great. You know, we really appreciate it because obviously we're spending all the money to make sure that we can be open under the guidelines for what we have to deal with. You know, and that's like, I just wish that people would just come in with a better attitude. Like, thank you for being open, rather than finally you're open, I can do what I want here. No.
Yeah,
that's your kind of spot though, Mikey. That's going to happen where you're at, and I feel for you, because you got a much more transient, non-regular crowd than I do, and it's a different world.
And you know what? Let me be very honest. It's 10:30 beyond p.m. As soon as 10:30 p.m. hits until 2 a.m., you know, that's when the majority of the crap starts. Everyone in the part of the day,
everybody's had a few drinks. They're a little loosened up, a little more forgetful, a little more, yeah.
So and it sucks, but you know, just don't make it seem like I'm the bad guy for having to ask you to do what I have to ask you to do. You know, it's like everyone's the drunk girl who wants to take their shoes off right now. Stop.
Right.
You dirty bastard. Stop.
Now, how about anyone that takes their shoes off anywhere? How about that? Let's just open that one up.
Bob's not a fan of feet.
Tops off. No. I'm not going to stop them.
Their tops off? Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't. Yeah. All right. Well,
use it as a mask.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, take your shirt off, use it as a mask. Perfect. All right, so hey, I guess we'll let you guys get back to it. So, Og, where do we find you when you're not at Whiskey in the Jar?
Well, when I'm not at Whiskey in the Jar, I'm the Hamtramck city clerk up underwater, buried in absentee ballots right now. But I'm not actually back behind the bar for 2 weeks. Mikey and I are splitting it up. Mikey Smith, who I work with, and taking the July-ish off. And but I'm here in Whiskey in the Jar in Hamtramck, and at City Hall anytime you need me.
Hey, for what it's worth, Michelle just joined the watch party. If you wanted to refer to her as your girlfriend again to get some brownie points.
Oh, okay.
And then Mikey, where do we find you?
Man, if you don't find me on Saturdays right now at theoldshillelagh.com and you're a fan of professional wrestling, you can check me out at Breaking Down the Ring podcast, breakingdownthering.com, at BDRcast for all of our social medias. You can check me out there every Sunday at 11 a.m.
I haven't been a guest in a long time, Mikey. What's going on?
Hey, man, we haven't had a single person in studio in a long time either.
Good point.
I mean, I can shoot you their Zoom link anytime you want to join.
No, he needs to invite me. I'm not going to play that game.
Just slide into my ZMs.
No. You know where to find me.
I do.
All right, well, cool. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. We're going to hang and bullshit about some other stuff.
Hey, thanks for having us, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, stay safe, guys.
Thanks for coming down to see us. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Appreciate it, guys.
See you guys. Be good. I need to start off with the thing that's ruined my entire day.
Oh, good Lord.
That I've literally had to share it with everyone I've ever known. It's this video.
Oh, the golfer.
That was live on PGA TV. Guy rips a huge 3-wood and then cuts a sheet ripper for about 10 seconds. And then they comment about it. The one guy, and then this is the best part. The guy gets on TMZ and all this stuff, and he starts making fart jokes talking about that's a way to social distance. And I'm like, if you're gonna fart on national TV, like that's how you own it. Like this guy, like literally everyone today at every meeting I ever, like, did you hear about the golf guy that farted? And they're like, what are you, like, literally, you gotta be the dumbest person. So like literally I've been playing this thing. Then the one guy's like, aren't they supposed to be more silent than that? It's just a beautiful. And then the guy goes, did you get that? And he's like, the other guy goes, stay over there. And he goes, aren't those supposed to be more silent? So like the guys are walking down the fairway, anyway, commenting on the guy. Anyway, I had to share that because that's been my entire day today.
Well, and so I guess my like the stunning news and information for the day. There's a coin shortage.
I don't know what's going on. Like apparently everyone's been saying the self-checkout lines at Meijer have gone cashless. There's basically I don't know, how do you get a coin shortage?
Well, I don't know. I saw a couple posts from like, stores on Facebook that were like, I saw one from a 7-Eleven that was like, hey, you bring us rolled coins and we'll give you not only the cash back, but you can get a free Slurpee. Like apparently like they're that desperate to get coins. Like it's which is weird.
The announcement never came out. The banks never came out. Usually something like that you would think would be prefaced. Over the next course of the next 3 months, by the way, we are blah, blah, blah. And they're calling it a national coin shortage. So it's like, the conspiracy peoples, the tinfoil hats are lighting up like Christmas trees around.
I can't even imagine.
They want to make us cashless, I don't think whatever. I don't think like that.
I've been in favor, at least I've been in favor of abolish the penny since the night.
I was going to say, this might be a good time to get rid of the penny.
I'm all in favor of that. Like that, they make no sense to me.
Yeah.
Who carries them? No one carries. Here's the thing. No one carries them around. No one uses them as tender. They're basically in little kids' banks that sit there for 30 years. Then they cash them out for $14 when they turn 28.
Or 21 when they're looking for beer money. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no, I didn't realize that was such a thing. But yeah, there were stories about Meijer going completely cashless. They were because they had to they couldn't dispense coins, or like some places were saying like even cashiers are just rounding stuff up or rounding stuff down to make it to the nearest dollar.
See, I always like when you learned about like cash and coin circulation, it's like they always when they go to the bank, they take the old money, they shred it, then they put in new money. That's why there's always like this constant flow. But no one ever said like during all this COVID stuff, were the mints closed? Like were they still in production? I mean, maybe that's why.
Well, I guess it wouldn't surprise me if they had to shut the mints down, just because like everything else, they had their own issues. But I mean, I guess it might be just a matter of it disrupted the natural supply chain. I mean, just like, grocery stores have a hard time getting a hold of things. If people aren't coming into the stores and using change and using, so they're not, and banks were shut down and not, I mean, I can see why it's an issue. I guess it's just something, it's one of those things I never thought about.
Yeah. People aren't using them. So there aren't them having them at stores to give back.
Well, I mean, you think about it. I mean, they weren't taking returnables for the longest time. Were all those like Coinstar machines shut down? I don't know. I would assume that would be one of the places where they were getting their change and coinage and all that kind of stuff.
Is that still 17%? I haven't used one since
I just know they're in the stores. I can't tell you the last time I actually went to one.
I don't know. Last time I used one, I got an Amazon gift card, so that was
because it's
no charge.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's only a charge if you get cash back out of it.
So, what have you guys been watching this week? I caught a pretty sweet movie last night. I never heard of it, and I was like shocked. It was
you never heard. Never heard of this one?
No. The movie. I'm talking about Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, that's like you never saw the ads for it or anything.
Never saw a thing. I didn't know it existed. So I'm watching this movie, and the little boy's got this like 70s bowl cut. I'm paying no mind, and he's talking to the black guy that looks like the guy from The Shining, Hong Kong Phooey guy.
Yeah.
And then he's talking to his mom and
Catman Crothers,
Shelley Duvall, and I'm like, what in the blue hell Shining movie is this? So I Google it, and I guess it's the sequel.
It's the sequel, Bob. Yeah, the book's been out for a while. That was the movie. Yeah.
I honestly had no idea this thing existed. I just I read the preview, and it didn't say anything. It said The Shine, but it didn't. It didn't say anything about The Shining, so I thought it was something different.
What did you watch it on?
HBO last night.
Oh.
I thought it was great, by the way. Like,
Oh, it's a phenomenal. They did a great job with it.
considering The Shining is one of the weirdest movies in the history of humanity, Mr. Kubrick. This thing like didn't explain. It kind of explained what all what the kids' premonitions were in the first one, and kind of gave a good background to it. I don't know. Again, the Obi-Wan thing is kind of he said, what did he say? The same line as Star Wars, and it threw me off for a half an hour. He's like something like, "Oh,
these aren't the droids you're looking for."
No, he didn't say that. Oh, the original one did.
It can only mean one thing: invasion.
Yeah, he did like a Obi-Wan Kenobi line in this movie, and it completely threw me off. Like, I don't know if they snuck that in there or what, but yeah, no, great flick. I would highly recommend it.
I watched Padma Lakshmi's Taste the Nation. It's a series on Hulu about.
I saw that was there. I added it to my watch list. I haven't.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Each episode is like a different immigrant group and their impact on food in America. Or they did one with Native American cultures because they're also have unique food cultures, but they're here and not an immigrant group.
So, and actually, that's a funny tie-in. So, also on Hulu, I've been obsessed with Hate Thy Neighbor. Which is it's a and there's 2 seasons of it so far. It's a stand-up comic from London who basically goes mostly all around the United States, but he also goes to like London and the Ukraine and a couple other places and hangs out with hate groups for a week or two. And he's biracial. He's half white, half black. And so like, but it's funny because as he's arguing with these white supremacists or, whoever else, he's like, if it weren't for immigrants, the food here would really suck. Just so like at some point in time during each episode that comes up. But it's interesting because he goes to he hangs out with like honest to God Nazis. He hangs out with white supremacists. He hangs out with the EDL in London, which is trying to kick all of the Muslims out of England. He hangs out with the Azov folks in Ukraine. He hangs out with the Black Israelites that are like way black supremacists. It's just it's fascinating that there are that many different hate groups out there that he goes all over like in one episode he starts hanging out with this one what do they call National Socialist. It's not Nazi. They're National Socialism. And he hangs out with this one guy in Pennsylvania who then says, "Hey, but I can arrange an invite for you to this thing down in Kentucky or Mississippi." And so he goes down. And so like the guy in Pennsylvania, it sounds stupid to say, but he just hates Jews. Like he only hates Jewish people, and he's not really overt about it. He just hates Jewish people. But then he refers him down to these guys down in Mississippi, and they're straight up Nazis. Like it's a swastika burning thing that they call the lightning. It's they're all wearing armbands with it's insane and intense.
Like that's real?
No, dude, it's very real. It's very real. It is, and like I said, it's interesting because there are some people that he makes some headway with, and there are some people because so the last like couple minutes of every episode is him sitting down with them after and going, "Okay, look, this is why I think you're full of shit," or here's why I think whatever. And it's interesting, like because I guess the guys in Mississippi, he was just like, "You guys are just straight up assholes. Like it is what it is." And then and he's sitting in the car. And he's talking with this guy, the original guy back in Pennsylvania, and they had actually gotten to be like kind of friends. And the guy had told him that the lady he was with that had all of his little like socialist spawn with was his second wife, and his first wife was Indian. And they had 2 kids. And so he starts the comic starts starts questioning him on, well, don't you realize that you're basically espousing a group that hates your children because they're, and he was, and that like really like, it's almost like the first time the guy ever heard that before or thought of that before. And it's, it's, like I said, it's interesting.
So
to see.
It's American History X, the series.
Basically. But like I said, but some of the international flavor is really interesting. Like I just watched one where he went to Pride in Israel, but hung out with the guy who is the most like like basically leads a little terrorist group against gay people in Israel. And it's funny because like he bounces back and forth. Like, so we would hang out with that guy for a while. And like at one point he's hanging with them at the end because like he goes with them like when they go to do their demonstrations and that kind of stuff. And then like he does like the cutaway to the camera and he's like, look, I know I'm doing this for like the show and everything. And he's like, hey, thanks, Vice, because it's a Vice series. He's like, hey, thanks, Vice, for paying for the trip and everything. But I'm gonna go hang with the Pride crew because they're having a lot more fun. And then like the camera crew would follow him around with them for a while, and so that's the thing. Like he gets like the the victims or the targets view on things as well, and it's just it's fascinating. Like it really is just an interesting show to get to see that mindset and see that there are so many different people out there with so many different kinds of hatred in their heart.
That's the old stand-up comedy thing, because those people used to just sit in their basements until the internet was created, and they found the others. And they're like, then they made groups, and then they used to just sit in their basements and just rocking back and forth.
Yep.
I hate whatever, and now they found others.
Now they found each other, and they've borged.
And they procreate.
So that's been my newest obsession. I've been watching the hell out of that just because it is. I mean, it to me that like that kind of stuff is just utterly fascinating to see the rationalizations and like especially like the guys in England, the EDL, like to the one guy he followed around just calls everyone Peckies. Because it's like I guess that's the derogatory term, like because they're not all from Pakistan, but if you like, it's just Paki, like that's the word for them, and making this guy and like at the end of the episode when he does his little like, okay, here's what I really think, like the guy tried to fight him. Like it's like, so apparently like the vast majority of the EDL are like they're soccer hooligans, and so like this guy was like taking his shirt off, trying to get through the producers at him. The cops were there. So I mean it is, but it is, like I said, I highly recommend it. It's called Hate Thy Neighbor. It's just an educational watch if nothing else.
By the way, have you seen how the internet's going crazy today? From it's apolitical, but it's with the protest in St. Louis that went through the rich neighborhood.
Oh,
the guy
Karen
with the
and
pink
Ken.
Shirt.
Yeah, Karen and Ken. Yeah.
The funny thing is, it doesn't matter. Like I follow pretty much every political group, Libertarian, Republican, Democrat, and everyone is like just literally destroying. Like this is like the one of the funniest absolute things,
dude. It's like there's an old expression that says the internet has one star every day. Your goal is to not be that person.
Well, the thing was, all the stuff that I was watching, like from the right or like the libertarian point, was like, yeah, you kind of have a right to defend your property, but you're brandishing and you have no trigger discipline. You're an asshole. Yeah. So it's like, and then the left is like, you're stupid. Like,
you're brandishing weapons at people that are just walking by your house.
They won no favors with anyone. Like everyone's destroying.
And the best part is apparently they're both lawyers. And have their own firm, and so their Facebook page just got destroyed to the point where they turned off reviews and recommendations, and so people just dove in on whatever and started commenting on whatever posts that they had up on their page, and it is, dude. I had tears streaming down my face while I was reading some of this crap because the internet takes no prisoners. It's amazing.
The memes came out immediately. Like I'm talking like good memes. Like
people did full-blown movie posters with those two, and it's outstanding.
Yeah, the one that the Halloween costume, steal this look. It's like Brooks Brothers Cotton Performance Polo, $89.50. Soho Fit Chinos, oatmeal color, $128. Anyway, phenomenal.
I do. I love the internet.
Oh, indeed. And, we love the internet, and we're big fans of privacy. That's why we all have teamed up with our friends at Private Internet Access. They are an award-winning VPN service provider with over 1 million customers all over the world. Private Internet Access VPN allows you to encrypt your connections so that you keep everything you do online confidential and secure. Your ISP, the government, or hackers will no longer have access to your data. PIA offers unlimited access to over 3,200 VPN servers in 46 countries. When I set it up, it took me less than 30 seconds. I did an East Coast, West Coast, US. I actually did Switzerland. I did one in Germany. They have dedicated apps for all platforms, Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, and you can protect up to 10 devices at the same time. And they believe in absolute transparency. They're now open source. They've been PC Mag's editor's choice for 8 consecutive years. You can use them to basically hide your IP address, download anything safely, secure your bank transactions. If you're using public Wi-Fi, stay untraceable online, and you can watch streaming content from all over the world that have geo restrictions in place. And they keep no logs, and it's been proven in federal court twice. So you're the only one that's going to be knowing what you're doing. Cool. And right now there's a 30-day money-back guarantee if you are not satisfied. And right now there's a special deal going on where you can get your first 12 months for only $2.85 per month. That's 76% off. And then months 13 and 14 are free. Do us a favor. Head to www.privateinternetaccess.com/IT and the D to get started protecting yourself. That's www.privateinternetaccess.com/IT in the D.
So I have a breaking story. Royal Oak health officials just announced that 3 people who were at 5th Avenue in Royal Oak have tested positive for COVID-19. They were there on the evening of June 19th. So
is Remy still bartending there? Ugh.
No, he's been gone from there for a while. So that's what, 10 days ago?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about the do you guys think the Dream Cruise is actually going to be canceled?
Well, so none of the public events will happen. Like that's for damn sure. You can't stop people from getting in their car and going and driving. Like you can't.
I can understand
you can stop all of the crowds.
Oh yeah, the grandstanding.
You can stop all of the parking lot hangout stuff. Like that's but as far as the cruise itself will likely still happen, but none of the other stuff will.
See, I would have not saying I'd rather have that announcement. I'm saying like Bike Church is like, hey, listen, if you're going to do the cruise, stay in your car. Do not park. Do not congregate. You know what I mean? At least set up. Maybe we're past all that with setting up guidelines because people aren't going to effing follow them anyway.
Right.
But, I would have not saying, instead of just saying it's outright canceled, just saying, hey, the official event isn't going to be what it is. If you guys want to take, if you want to take a lap and show up your cars, please, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
So here's the issue with that. Like, I would assume there is an organization or several organizations that are behind that, and so if it moved forward officially, there would be liability.
Oh, see, I think doesn't NADA own it? The North American Auto Dealers or whatever.
I don't care who owns it. Whoever owns it, there would be an enormous liability issue if that were to go forward and it came out that was a hot spot and there was a super spreader event. I'm sure there'd be lawsuits out the wazoo because this is America. It's what we do.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of America's all about dumb arguments. I want you guys to settle something for me. We've all had the argument: is hot dog a sandwich? And is tofu food? But this one happened this weekend.
Oh, tofu is not food.
This one happened this weekend. So they open up the neighborhood pool, and one of the neighbors we haven't seen.
Bob, no, you should not go in the pool with diarrhea. I
stayed out of the pool.
Okay, was that?
No, that's not that wasn't the argument. I got diarrhea. Should I go swimming? No, that was not the argument. The argument was, so I ordered pizza places delivered to the pool. That we've been there long enough where they kind of know us,
right?
And we put the address and say the pool. Basically, so then I order a deep dish with meat, a round with veggies, and cheese bread, right?
Okay.
And the one kid doesn't want to eat. He's like, I just want a pizza with no sauce. And I go,
so that's cheese bread.
I go, so that's the first thing I said. I go, I got cheese bread. He goes, no, it's not the same. And I go, bread, cheese. No sauce. And he goes, well, they got spices on it. And I go, open it up. I go, I don't see any spices, Skippy. And he goes, there's Parmesan on it. I'm like, bro, what do you think they put on pizza? It's like I'm sitting there and he goes, and then everyone starts piling on me going, he likes what he likes. Let him be. I'm like, that's why he waits. That's why
somebody needs to teach this kid because obviously his parents are failing him. Somebody has to step in.
Because in my house, it would be like, fine, don't eat. I give a shit. Like, go get the salami out of the cheese drawer if you want to eat tonight. But that's the thing. Like, then someone else brought it up. They go, "Hey, he isn't eating." I go, "No, he wants pizza without the sauce." And they go, "Yeah, cheese bread."
Yeah,
I go,
cheese bread.
That's what I thought. Oh, this is all this time. I go, "What have I been missing?" But anyway, that was the dumb argument. And then the other dumb argument is, okay, like last week we talked about Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's, and they're kind of, at what point, like, is it stop becoming admirable and start being ridiculous? Because right now we're hearing it's starting to, maybe you tell me if I didn't know who voiced Cleveland on Family Guy, but apparently he's white and he stepped down, saying he didn't want to voice. So then all of a sudden the internet goes crazy and says,
the girl that voices Missy on Big Mouth has stepped down now.
Oh my, really?
Yeah.
But then, like, then all of a sudden now everyone starts piling on, being like, okay, the Simpsons are yellow and Seth MacFarlane voices a dog. Is PETA going to come out to make him step down?
Is Joe on Family Guy only going to be able to be voiced by a paraplegic now? Well, no, and here's my thing. Like, and this is why, like, I kind of understood the blowback against Scarlett Johansson over Ghost in the Machine, because that was, an Asian character. She is not an Asian actress. Like, okay, fine. But like, we're not talking about like Scarlett Johansson playing like Harriet Tubman in the movie. Like, we're talking about voice actors here. And to me, especially, like, so an actor's job at the end of the day is to make you not remember who they are, because they are supposed to be playing a character. That is even more true in my head when it comes to voice actors, because you don't see them, you don't know who they are. And to me, like, and I started having this conversation yesterday with a few people and I just had to stop. But like, so to me, if you're saying that a person of color must be voiced by that person of color, that is almost taking a step that says, okay, well, black people sound a certain way. Asian people sound a certain way, and so isn't that
dogs sound a certain way?
Right. So like, I really don't know that I agree with this one at all. And while the blowback about that was happening, there was the other flare up that I started getting into it with people about. With last night, there was an incident with protesters down in Detroit, where they were leaving a protest, and a cop car with its lights and sirens on, people basically swarmed around the cop car. Apparently their back window was broken, and the cop just drove the SUV through the people. And people were jumping up on, they did not get hit and thrown up on the hood. They jumped up on the hood of the car. And so, like, and I was like, okay, look, like, unpopular opinion, but here's where I started having a problem with protests and protesters, because at that point you are not peacefully protesting. You are not, you're not doing anything. You are A, interfering with traffic, B, interfering with a police vehicle with its lights and sirens on, that for all you know is trying to get to a gunshot victim or a far more serious set of circumstances than dealing with you walking down the street trying to get back to your cars, because I believe that's all it was at that point. And that's how you get a black eye on your entire movement, is by trying to pull shit like that. And so, kind of like this, like I do. So kind of the same thing. I think the voice acting thing is going a little bit too far. And I think like that is like, because people are like, oh, this is outrageous that this happened. I'm like, no, they were trying to start shit and they got shit that they were.
Well, the media didn't do any favors by saying the cop car plowed through him, because I watched it from 8 different angles.
Yeah.
And that car stopped 3 times. Then all of a sudden, when they piled on the hood, back window goes out, then the gas hit. And like, plowing through is plowing through. Like, we've seen truck drivers that plow through.
That's legit happened to people.
Right.
And so, yeah, like
but like, here's the thing, like, not to jump around a little bit, but it's the same token. Like, Bart Simpson's been voiced by a woman for 30 years.
Yeah, however long that show's been on.
Yeah, since I've been 13. So yeah, probably close to 30 years. But I don't think anyone's ever complained like, oh, I don't know. Like, we joke about Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. White
black
guy,
suit, black
white
suit,
guy,
white guy inside it,
voiced by a black guy.
Right. Whatever.
Well, and it's and it's one of those things where like, and I understand like one of the sentiments that's out there is, well, hey, they're trying to basically step away from this role to free up a spot for a person of color that might then get that job. Okay, but who's to say that that person of color is the best person for that job? Like what? Like so? Like now, I look at now Family Guy is going to change, and Cleveland's voice is going to be different.
Is that Pooh gone forever?
Now,
did that ever?
They
come
did that
you?
a while ago. Now Big Mouth, which is just starting to really gain traction, one of the main characters is going to change, and. Yeah, I
mean, recasting isn't an issue though. Like they replaced, lots
Lacey
of characters.
Chabert. Well, yeah, I mean, so like Lacey Chabert was the voice of Meg the first season of Family Guy, and then and then it was Mila Kunis.
Even in live action shows where it's even more noticeable, like Fresh Prince, they changed the mom, different actress. The story continued. It was fine.
Beyond, yeah.
And I guess who else got offended apparently was chubby little boys with black hair wearing checkered overalls apparently got offended because Big Boy is no more. Apparently they're introducing Dolly, and you can out of the blue. I never even heard that this was a thing, but apparently if you go to whoisdolly.com, they're going to introduce apparently when the Big Boy comic, that was like Big Boy's girlfriend. And I was
not aware there was a Big Boy comic.
Right.
B, I guess I never really thought about large statues out in front of buildings having girlfriends. Like it's just not.
Dude, did I ever tell you this story? I went to U of M basketball camp in.
Did they say why they were changing to Dolly, or just that they were?
No, they just said they're changing it. They're just like, launching a new marketing campaign as their new mascot. Dolly's been a lifelong friend of Big Boy, but never the star. So now they're going to make her the star. Yeah. So speaking of Big Boy, did I ever tell you this story? I don't think I did. I don't think I ever have, Dave. The story of his name was Tim. I went to U of M basketball camp with him in '88. I was 15, and it was the Bill Frieder, Steve Fisher basketball camp.
Okay.
And I was like, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. It was like 100 kids that got to go from high schools all over the state and got to meet a ton of people. Well, here comes this guy, Tim. He went to Centerline High. He was like 7 foot even. He could dribble like a guard and shoot 3-pointers like I've never seen before in my life. Like no one could touch him. He was literally untouchable. He gets a full ride to UTEP and Texas El Paso, which is where Hardaway went. And that summer, him and his buddies basically pulled a Big Boy out of the ground and stole it.
I have heard that's
and he lost his full ride. The next time I saw him, I was like in my mid-20s, and he was my waiter at Don Pablo's.
Oops.
And I never had the balls to ask him, but like that used to be a thing. Stealing Big Boys was like if you were a kid in the 80s in Detroit, you tried to steal a Big Boy at least once.
Well, and apparently, like I saw some story that there's a Big Boy graveyard like out in the woods somewhere in Michigan.
What?
Like from places that have closed, and they like I guess the guy that owned them, there's like I don't know 8 or 10 like big boy statues just hanging out.
I want to go. By the way, not to get too, we haven't been too technical this, but like we've been talking off and on about Zoom saying, yeah, we're going to do end-to-end encryption, then we're not, then we are, then we're not. Did you see the story from Gizmodo? Apparently 3 senators, they would want to ban, they're introducing a bill wanting to ban end-to-end encryption.
Of course they do.
Which is, again, going against everything that kind of the internet is stood for. Maybe
well,
I'm wrong.
and the sad reality is like the real effect of that will be that those tech companies will relocate out of the U.S.
Aren't most of them anyway?
But I mean, even the ones that are here will just simply move, and then you'll lose those jobs and lose that infrastructure, and good job.
I don't think 70-year-old senators realize that that's a thing, let alone how the internet
Google
works.
tubes work. I think they've proven that over and over and over again.
The technicality of the bill is that they want these companies to engineer a backdoor.
Oh, that's been
yeah.
They've been talking about that since PGP.
Yeah, but a backdoor just for law enforcement is just like having a backdoor for the bad guys. So
Yeah, exactly. If you're dumb enough to have one of those like fake rocks with a key on your porch, everybody knows that that's a fake rock with a key on your porch. That's
Right.
If
Look
there's
under
a
the
door,
mat,
a criminal can break in.
Yeah.
pull the sun visor down. I'll pull up the mat. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we all know the deal.
Sun visor in the tractor.
So I apparently, we all like hate or love, depending on which one they're showing us, Facebook ads. But apparently they lost, what was it, $30 billion in revenue when companies started pulling out over their like basically, we had talked about them not flagging Trump's post that was, kind of inciting violence. And there's a lot of companies that are saying that Facebook is setting itself up or has set itself up as a platform that is friendly to hate speech. And so companies are saying we're out. And, they lost one company that, did like 40 million in advertising with them. Coke pulled out. I know like a bunch of companies have pulled, and it's like, it's not pretty for them.
Well, what is no? I just read it like in the way the firm moderates hate speech. Is it because they leave it, or is it because they take it down?
No, it's because they leave it.
And don't flag it. Like they called out 2 weeks ago, they called out Twitter for flagging President Trump's tweets for being inaccurate or insightful or whatever. But then, 2 weeks later, Facebook about faced and started saying they will implement that same.
Well, no, it was so the announcement came that all these advertisers, that these big advertisers were pulling out. And Friday night, Zuckerberg, got on a live chat with a bunch of people and said, "Oh, well, here's our new guidelines and here's all our new this." And the companies were just like, "We're not giving you our money again now. Like, we're going to wait and see if you actually do this shit."
Think about that for a minute. They paused ads for 30 days, which caused an 8% drop in their stock price, which caused him to lose $7 billion on paper. Like that's insane how big of a swing that is. Yeah, apparently it's they're the hashtag Stop Hate for Profit campaign.
Yep. Well, and going right along with that is the story that came out of YouTube today that they shut down a bunch of ultra right wing supremacist channels. I think I saw they've shut down 25,000 channels so far, if I recall correctly.
What?
Yeah.
Good God.
Reddit just banned a bunch of subreddits too.
And again, part of all of us, the thinking is, yay, open internet, yay, let it police itself. But like, again, these are private companies. It's not AT&T. Like, we can't say.
Well, and dude, I mean, let's bring that down to real life. Like, because the theoretical, hypothetical, eye in the sky, whatever. Oh, the internet will police itself, and no. Look at how this conversation tonight started. People won't even wear an effing mask to walk into a bar.
Right.
Like, people can't even police themselves on that level. What makes you think it can happen at a macro level?
No, usually it's, when they talk about like, if you want to get into this capitalism argument, usually it's like, all right, if you're behind this, we're not going to shop there and then it'll go away. But like, again, you're talking about using a service for something that, you have to draw those, like, again, we brought AT&T up a long time ago. You can't really, that's different. That's more of a,
dude, it's us. It's
a public utility versus, and now like apparently everyone's moving to some new Twitter platform. What the hell is it called?
Oh, who knows? There's like 87
Placenta or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But I mean, let's be transparent about it, dude. We have the exact same rule with Podcast Detroit. We don't care what you do, just no hate speech.
You forgot multi-level marketing.
But no. I mean, like, that's like, dude, I don't care if you want to talk politics. No, I don't care if you want to talk about any of this other stuff. But no, you're not gonna, get out there and be hateful towards people. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, regardless. Like, yeah, that was the first and everyone used to always go like, no hate speech and no multi-level marketing. I go, yes, we put those on the same plate.
Those are identical to us. Those are, yeah.
The only pyramids we want to talk about is the ones in Egypt.
Right.
Now, what were you talking about with this $100 billion universal fiber plan? I didn't get a chance to read it, but I think
Randy shot that across.
The headline was intriguing.
So Congress's plan, or the House has unveiled a plan to spread 100 megabit up, 100 megabit down fiber across the U.S. Spending $100 billion to do it, doing things like dig once. So if there's new road construction, then they also lay fiber at the same time.
That's all it's going to cost.
And it would also eliminate local bands of municipal controlled.
Yeah, wait,
broadband.
Randy, no, wait, you said 100 million. It's
Sorry, 100 billion.
Billion.
My bad. Yeah, billion with an M. Or billion with a B.
Billion with an M. Well, and honestly, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that kind of ties into, you know, one of the topics we had a couple of weeks ago, where the U.S. is no longer in the top 10 in internet speeds provided. It's just it's not a thing anymore.
And our definition of broadband is really bad too. Like, what is it? 25 down, 4 up is considered broadband.
Well, you don't need up. That's why they never put it in, because if you look at usage, really nothing. You don't use up. You're consuming data. You're not really pushing anything unless you got torrents going in your house.
Well, but no, I mean, as long you look at, like, so, you know, 4K video while you're sitting on Zoom, or even HD video, you know, while you're sitting on Zoom, or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. It's, you know, you are seeing more and more up these days, you know, as more and more people are working from home.
You know, the meetings, but also like game streaming. That's a lot of up.
Yep. You know, look at, you know,
Twitch stuff. Yeah, you're right. You know what? I didn't even think about that.
Look at, you know, look at your developers doing code pushes. You know, if they've got them local and they're rolling them up to the servers and that kind of stuff.
That's what we call going to the bathroom, Dave.
A code push, nice.
Yeah.
But no, so I mean, you know, there's, especially as more and more people are working from home or trying to work from home more. You know, it's you do see a lot of that, which, you know, and that was one of the two stories that came across. You know, we've always kind of joked that, you know, and factually, you know, that porn has kind of led the way with a lot of tech. You know, there are some people that say, you know, should we be looking at the adult film industry for how they've handled themselves as the model when it comes to, like, how they handle HIV and STDs. You know, they have the PASS program where, like, you have to be tested within the last 14 days. Every 14 days you have to get tested. And, you know, contact tracing is a huge thing. And, you know, and if somebody pops positive, it basically shuts the entire industry down until, like, they can do a full contact trace and find out every person that person's been with, and yada yada. You know, so, you know, and yeah, I mean, the PASS program has its faults, and there's, you know, some other, you know, flaws in the system, but especially when it comes to contact tracing, like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen, you know, people posting screenshots from, you know, their iPhones about the new, you know, the COVID contact tracing stuff that we talked about months ago that was coming out. And like, oh, they're tracking me. They want to, okay, dumbass. Yes, they're tracing, you know, yes, it's contact tracing, but it's, you know, it's not you. It's a unique ID on your phone, and that gets sent back. And it even tells you right on the screen that you screenshot that you can reset it, and you can opt out of it, and you can do this, and it's not, people.
Plus, I don't think any states in the U.S. are actually implementing that system yet.
They're not.
37 countries worldwide, and maybe 3 states are considering it, but I don't think it's rolled out yet in the United States.
Well, you know, speaking of I was gonna say, speaking of porn, I was looking at going to Cedar Point. Pretty much, I know, right? I was trying to the bad segue. It didn't make.
Well, I mean, let's be real. If you're going to Cedar Point, you're going to get screwed at the ticket counter. That's
right. But
and the concession stand.
They're opening up July 9th, and they basically, I was reading what you had to and what the staff has to go through to get in, to get through, and to stay there.
It's like
and
Disney, man. Why bother?
I don't even know. Well, you know, with the thing with 3 kids, it's because, you know, we've gone literally every year since they could walk, and it's like, do we go or do we not go? And
I mean, that's great. Don't go this year.
I don't.
Yeah. You know, my in-laws have done that Labor Day party for the past 40 years.
Yeah, this is the first year I'm not going to Fiji because of COVID-19. Normally I don't go because I'm poor.
But no, I mean, like, they've done their, you know,
water.
They've done that Labor Day party every year for the last 40 years. And they've decided not to do it this year because, you know, like, with everything else going on, and plus my niece's wedding is that next weekend. And so, you know, it's kind of like, you know, like we've had Fred tell us, pick and choose what you want to do. Like, you don't want to have 2 large scale family events back-to-back weekends where you have that much increased exposure, you know, chances and all that kind of stuff. So they just, you know, they were like, hey, we're not going to do it this year. And hey, hopefully everybody comes back next year.
And at the end of the day, no one's going to really complain too much about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, you're a bunch of assholes. Like, I think everyone's kind of on the same level, going, like, if you don't, you know, it's kind of like, you're not going to have your Christmas party, Bob? And I'm like, no, I'm in the hospital. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't move off the damn couch. No, I'm not letting you come over and destroy my house when I can't enjoy it. Kiss my ass.
Exactly. but yeah,
but that was the other part. That was the second article about the adult film industry, is that like basically they've all shifted to a work from home model, because they're all the studios are all shut down and all that stuff.
You mean those weren't real bedrooms in the first place?
No, they were like they were doing a lot of filming in hotel rooms and
it was the producer's house.
That's how you got a producer credit in porn, is you let them use your house. And so they it basically you're seeing like a lot of the couples that actually really live together are putting out a lot more content, and they've invested in cameras and all that stuff to kind of do it on their own. So I mean, it's interesting that I guess you don't really think about porn as a work from home model, but hey, there's another need for upload speed from home.
See, now this segue works. Speaking of porn, how about food porn? If you ever followed our show for a long time, you know that we had like probably 6 episodes in a row where we talked about the mashed potato machine.
The mashed potato machine, yep, absolutely.
And it basically consumed my life, and I'm kind of pissed off as a human being that I don't own one or have one or have seen one. But now Stouffer's, they just upped the ante and they just created a mac and cheese on tap dispenser.
I'm not gonna lie, it looked as horrible as I thought it would. It's just the mental image of any machine dispensing mac and cheese.
I've only seen the picture of the machine. I haven't seen how it works or how it comes out looking.
The
machine is frightening enough.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I'm a big, my YouTube, one of my hotnesses is I love following street food around the world and like vending machines that have like weird stuff, like in Tokyo and Asia, where like they'll actually make
panties. That's
pizza and like and pizza and panties, and there's one that's pizza and panties, but like just weird food that you get out of these vending machines. But I can't imagine like just to have like dairy and like how do you make pasta? Like I would eat it. I think if there was at 7-Eleven, I would totally eat it. I would not even think twice. What are you reading?
No, that was me shaking my head at you going, you would walk into a 7-Eleven and actually get a bowl of that crap and eat it.
I totally would.
I would try it once just for the novelty.
I would watch you eat it. Just to see what happened to you.
I put their nacho cheese on those hot dogs on the foot massagers. I'll be damned if I'm not going to eat mashed potatoes out of a vending machine or on tap.
We talked about mashed potatoes. I might be up for mac and cheese. I'm drawing a line. I'm
Here's the thing. No. You're at Whiskey in the Jar. You're 4 drinks deep, and this thing's sitting there next to the Red Bull machine, next to the Jaeger machine.
Augie and Mike, you're going, Yeah,
$2. $2 and you get a cup of mac and cheese. Yeah, all day you're gonna eat that, and you know it.
Damn you!
You know what? I'm gonna
so well.
I'm gonna see if I can get distribution rights to this thing. Start a business. Big. Where can you buy? I'm gonna find out where you can buy this thing. I'm on it. That's my homework for tomorrow.
That's your homework for tomorrow. Well, and then on a homework front, apparently, dude. So like countries are banning TikTok now that it's been reverse engineered and it has been revealed what a ridiculous information gathering app that truly is. Like,
worse than any app. When you break it down, it's
like,
worse.
Do you remember how insane people got about Facebook Messenger and all the permissions and that kind of shit? Dude, that was nothing compared to what TikTok pulls.
I'm gonna go through just some of it. You're basically your phone hardware, your CPU type, basically that. Other apps you have installed, everything network
including
related.
The app cache. So anything you have uninstalled recently that hasn't been flushed off your phone, it still has access to.
Some variants of the app had GPS pinging enabled at the time, once every 30 seconds.
Yep.
Enabled by default. Set up a local proxy server on your device for transcoding media. It has 0 authentication. Much of the logging they're doing is remotely configurable. And they manually inspect every single obfuscated function. And there's pages and pages of what else they're doing. They weren't using HTTPS. They leaked users' email addresses, as well as secondary emails used for password resets. All usernames, real names, birthdays, all publicly viewable.
Yet again, why I have taught my kids the beauty of two-factor authentication.
Yeah, and then they get into it. There's a paragraph about creepy old dudes, and you're like, totally.
Yep.
It's so hard to read that stuff, but it's like it's cringy as hell. But that shit's happening.
But it's real. I mean, it's a real thing. Yeah. So, I mean, for what it's worth, if you're out there and you see your kids on TikTok, think real hard about whether or not you actually want to let them be on that platform. It's not. It's not a good thing. Oh, and so for what it's worth, talking about, going around and heading downtown or wherever and hitting bars again. I honestly didn't even know this was a thing because I usually don't park on the street. I usually either park in a lot or something like that. But free parking has now ended downtown. Where they have that park mobile stuff or, the zones and all that thing.
Hey, Dave.
What?
Hell hath no fury like a city of Detroit parking meter attendant.
Well, yeah, because you never put money in meters and you never do anything.
No, I do, but I never refill them. I've spent hundreds and hundreds, if not close to $1,000 over the course of my life. In places where they said you're too far off the curb or you're not in with the line that doesn't
that happened to me at Cutters at because I wasn't far enough away from the curb, but I was beyond the sign. So I should have been far enough away from the curb.
Right, but what are you going to do? Spend a day off of work and go
fight it? No, they know you're not. Yeah.
Right.
So just heads up if you're heading downtown, you have to pay for parking again with all the street parking that's going on. So just be aware.
And I'm amazed that you're not more angry about the Princess Bride remake that they're proposing.
Dude, here's the thing.
With Joe Jonas and Sophie, whatever her name is, Turner.
If I actually let myself feel the impending aneurysm every time one of those remakes is brought up, I would be so long since dead. So as long as it's just in talks and they're not really doing it yet, I'll wait.
The worst part is it's Quibi.
They're talking. They already got it. This one's already cast. Like Patton Oswalt, which is already going to be Inconceivable guy.
Oh God!
But then they're talking about who
I love him.
Who can be Andre the Giant? And it's like either Big Show or Shaq. But none of them have been cast. And the one thing, dude, if you want to laugh, by the way, look up Predator the musical on YouTube.
I'm gonna go no.
It's only dude. It's only 3 minutes long.
Okay.
And it's just they're showing clips of the movie, and it's like they're all singing basically
get to the chopper.
If he bleeds, we can kill him. It's stupid, but it's funny.
Kill the wabbit. Yeah, wonderful.
Leopold.
I think we actually burned through our entire list.
We totally did. There's other than because all the bar stuff we talked about, Dream Cruise talked about, Grip It and Rip It. We can talk about that again if you want.
I'm good on golfer farts.
I just wanted to get it out of my system so I don't talk about it.
Got to kill all the golfers. Yeah,
it was all day today. That's all. All right, that's it. Officially, that's the last time I'm watching it, for the record.
Until 5 minutes from now.
I would have never found it if Tad didn't text me because he knew. He knew it would have ruined my day.
Of course it was Tad. All right, well, I guess that's it.
Yeah, but hey, we're going to wrap things up. This was episode 354. Did I get it right? Of the IT and the D Show. I really want to thank Mikey and August from Old Shillelagh and Whiskey in the Jar, respectively, for giving their insights on what things are like behind the bar. But yeah, on behalf of Bob, Dave, and Randy, do us all a favor: drink up your drinks, get your phone numbers. You can stay home, but you got to get the hell out of here. See you next week. Drive careful. Beat it.
See you guys.